Hotspot, Greece.
Greece has requested a hefty loan package from both the EU and the International Monetary Fund.
The first ground invasion in the financial war happened here a year ago, when the Greek government swapped Greek assets for a bailout from the Troika.
But in order to get the help that it needs, government officials in Athens had to make some drastic changes.
So in May of 2010, the Greeks signed an agreement with the IMF that allowed them to collect debts, and for that right, they gave as collateral every single asset in the entire country.
Everything. Not only we collateralized all Greek Republic assets, but we also signed that in the meantime, if we need additional money, we cannot go to ask for money somewhere else.
So
we are obliged to ask money to them. We became their slaves.
Here is in English and in Greece also.
Okay.
This is the international law agreement between Greece and the Troika, directly from the Greek parliament. All right? In one of the articles, they say that if we are unable to repay the debts, they allow them unconditionally the right to come here in Greece and confiscate everything. Our Parthenon, our Olympia, Delphi, our islands, the petroleum, anything.
Wow, what a bargain. The IMF has properties like this, part of the Acropolis. It's a bit of a fixer-upper, though. It needs a little spackle, a little upgrade. I'm sure they could do some development here and improve it a lot, maybe even put a McDonald's or a Starbucks over there and get some income generated. But it's a great asset, just needs a little work. Well, what exactly are the policies that the IMF is already engaged in?
Well, the policies are austerity measures, as most people already know. They've cut wages, pensions, they've raised taxes, direct and indirect taxes. A lot of people are being laid off, unemployed. The unemployment rate is above 15% now. Inflation has gone up over 4.5%. Stores are closing down. The health sector is experiencing a lot of problems because of lack of funding. They don't have substantial essential material like alcohol and bandages and stuff like that.
So when you say they're cutting wages, from what to what?
They've cut, in some sectors, they've cut up to about 30%.
What are the numbers exactly, just to give people a frame of reference?
Well, the basic wage in Greece was about, the monthly basic wage was about 750 gross euros. Now it's gone down to 500 and something. It's quite a drop.
Greece has quit from all its rights due to national sovereignty over all its assets and from all its human beings. Exactly. So the human beings are equal for them to our to the assets.
Okay, the physical assets of the country have been conceded to the Troika.
Yes, exactly. Illegally, yes, exactly. Totally illegally and consciously illegally, intentionally illegally. Premeditated, exactly.
Asset larceny.
Exactly.
This is not anything different than a state-of-the-art, let's say, tailor-made lending program. We call that mnemonio here in Greece. That is
I'm sorry, you call that what?
Mnemonio, in Greek we say that. This is a memorandum of understanding signed with the lenders of the Greek government debt. This is exactly what it is. With that, we give power to all the lenders of the Greek country, of the Greek government bonds, to write guarantees, hypothecs on the Greek property, on all the Greek assets, tangible and intangible, in the future Greek revenues, on everything what this country has.
The bailout was a Trojan horse. Athens was now financially occupied.
It would be a mistake to think that the bailout is actually a bailout of Greece. Greece is a write-off.
it is clearly said in that article that the 110 billion euros they loan us, they are gone totally to the foreign banks.
The 110 billion euros comes into the Greek system, but
Yes.
and then immediately leaves
Exactly.
to pay off the
Exactly.
foreign interest.
So basically, the bailout is actually a bailout of the ECB itself and the bailout of the banks in Europe.
But before Greece became a write-off, it was a client of Goldman Sachs.
In 2001,
Yes.
Greece joined the euro.
Yes.
Now we know that the conditions of the joining was the product of an enormous fraud
Yes.
perpetrated by who?
Goldman Sachs.
Who?
By Goldman Sachs.
What did they do? What did Goldman Sachs do?
They hide a vast amount of our national debt.
In order to make it look like the country was
yes,
in better shape than
exactly,
it was. And then they
exactly.
joined the euro.
Yes.
And what happened to...
We are unprepared financially to do this in respect to our very low productivity.
And so Greece was thrown into the same currency ring as heavyweight exporter Germany. Greece buckled. Its debts grew. Goldman's complex derivatives grew even faster. The swaps begat more swaps, begat more complex derivatives, begat more Goldman fees.
This is a racket that's going on, isn't it?
This is a pure financial racket, exactly. This is a well-organized criminal plan that was executed in a very, very smart way here in Greece, because in this market, politicians who are governing this country, they don't have any idea of what markets mean. They don't know how to follow the markets. They don't know how to regulate the markets. And this gives the opportunity to all these kind of institutions to manipulate the government debt and to create this huge problem what Greece has today.
The revelation of Goldman Sachs' hidden Greek debts was followed by rating agency downgrades of Greek debt, was followed by rising spreads on its debt, was followed by naked short selling of its bonds.
As the EU moves to protect its member states by trying to find out how speculators bet against Greece and profited.
And what these people did, how in America in 2008 they create CDO, collateralized debt obligations, and they create CDO on the mortgage market. Today they are creating CDOs on the public debt. This is what is happening. Public debt today is becoming a CDO. On this CDO, CDS contracts are getting issued from the same people who create the same crisis in the United States.
Loaded down with debt, Greece now became a prime target for a financial takedown by Goldman's other clients, like John Paulson, a hedge fund manager who had made billions shorting Goldman Sachs' toxic CDOs.
What do you say now when you hear the stories about Goldman Sachs having a meeting with hedge fund managers like John Paulson here in Athens, talking about ways to destroy the country using
Yes.
weapons of mass financial terrorism
Yes.
like derivatives and naked
Yes.
short selling,
Yes.
purposely, like they discussed in Iceland before they destroyed that country.
Yes.
What do you think about this when you hear that
Yes.
two bankers colluding to steal your assets for nothing? How does that make you feel?
We must prevent the illness, not to cure the illness afterwards. So we have the duty to kill them before they kill us.
If this was in their constitution, then the Greek people had failed in their duty to prevent the occupation of their nation by the armed wing of the global bankers, the IMF.
So the question now is, will the Greek people throw the IMF out? It says right here on the wall, take back measures, take back the IMF measures.
We're talking about families making Molotov bombs at home.
Okay, now you're a medical doctor,
Yes.
you're an oncologist. You're a
Yes.
man with advanced mathematical degrees.
Yes.
And recently you were in the street
Yes.
protesting
Exactly.
in front of the...
Or in front of the president of democracy, Carlos Papoulias.
And what were you saying in your protest? What were you demanding?
I was shouting to them that they are traitors.
Now, did you also suggest that these traitors should be hung?
Exactly.